So, what do you do when your company is on the line? The facts are, well, murky, and pretty much every decision you could make feels like the wrong one. Today, we're diving into a powerful framework built for exactly this kind of scenario. It's called the Penumbra Protocol. And look, this isn't just a thought experiment. Picture it. Your company is already failing. One of your most important leaders is accused of serious misconduct. And to top it all off, you have no money to figure out what's really going on. This is a complete nightmare scenario, and it's a test of the very core of leadership. All right, so to really get our heads around this protocol, we first need to understand the kind of perfect storm it was designed for. So let's meet our case study, a company called Synergy Spark Innovations. Synergy Spark's story is, a classic fall from grace. They used to be the pioneers, the absolute market leader in their space. But now, now they're just bleeding market share, and frankly, bleeding cash. This context is absolutely critical because it means when the real crisis hits, they're already on the ropes, financially, and you could argue morally vulnerable. And it's right at this moment, their absolute weakest point, that the crisis erupts. An allegation that threatens to just shatter whatever is left of the company. A formal allegation of sexual harassment is made against the chief operating officer, a guy named Robert Davies. Now, in a company this fragile, this isn't just some HR issue. No, this is a potential corporate detonation. The details, on the surface, seem pretty simple. A marketing coordinator, Sarah Miller, accuses the COO, Robert Davies, and the incident supposedly happened at a recent team event. But you gotta notice the power imbalance here, and the informal setting. Those two factors immediately make any investigation incredibly complicated. If this were a clear-cut case, there'd be no dilemma. But it's not even close. Leadership is basically staring into this tangled web of complications, and there are absolutely no easy answers. The source material just describes it perfectly. It calls this a classic he said, she said scenario, but with all these extra layers that make finding the truth almost impossible. The whole situation is just opaque. It's shrouded in ambiguity. So yeah, this situation is a total minefield. It's not just that the details are ambiguous, there are also these pre-existing questions about the complainant's credibility. And to compound all of that, the company is basically broke. They can't afford a proper external investigation. And yet, they are legally required to give both parties due process. I mean, every single one of these factors just makes the others 10 times harder to solve. This puts the leadership team at a truly impossible crossroads. Any move they make is going to have massive consequences, testing not just their business strategy, but their fundamental integrity. The challenge is maybe best described as a delicate tightrope walk over a chasm of uncertainty. And why is that the perfect metaphor? Because one wrong step in any direction, left or right, leads to the exact same outcome: reputational ruin, a legal disaster, or just a total internal collapse. So the question isn't just what do you do? It's how do you even decide where to start? When literally every path looks like a bad one, where do you even begin? Well, the answer lies in shifting the goal. See, when you can't find the perfect solution, you have to focus on building a perfect process. And that is the key to navigating the gray area. You stop focusing on the outcome and you start focusing on the framework. And that framework is the Penumbra Protocol. Think about the name for a second. A penumbra is a partial shadow. It's that gray area, not total light, not total darkness. The protocol is designed for exactly that space, where the real goal isn't to somehow find the truth, but to execute a process that's so fair and so defensible that it can withstand scrutiny no matter what the outcome is. So, the protocol forces you to balance 4 critical pressures. First, you've got reputation. How do you act without completely destroying internal morale and public trust? Second, there's the legal angle. How do you manage legal risk without looking like you're just trying to save your own skin? Third, financial. How on earth do you conduct a thorough process when you're completely out of money? And finally, the pillar that holds it all up, leadership. Every single action has to be relentlessly impartial, because in a crisis like this, the leader's credibility is the only real asset the company has left. So the goal at the end of the day is protection through process. It's a meticulous balancing act, and it's designed to safeguard the company not just from one threat, but from all of them at once. Legal pitfalls, reputational ruin, and that slow internal corrosion that can kill a company from the inside out.
Now, it's really easy to look at the Synergy Spark case and just dismiss it as a unique, one-off disaster. But here's the thing. That core challenge, making these incredibly high-stakes decisions with incomplete information, is now a universal test for any modern leader.
And this is maybe the biggest takeaway. Learning to navigate these gray area crises, where the facts are unclear and the stakes are sky high, that's not an edge case anymore. It is a defining feature of what it means to lead today. And these gray areas are literally everywhere. The source material points to something called the algorithmic anomaly. Just imagine your company's brand new AI is doing things that nobody can explain, and it's just days before a huge launch. The facts are murky, the stakes are enormous. It's the same problem, just a different flavor. Or how about this one, the Jurassic security paradox? That's being forced to manage totally unprecedented risks where there's no rulebook, no historical data to guide you. Again, it's another version of the same fundamental challenge. The context, the industry, the specific details, all of that stuff changes. But the fundamental challenge of making critical decisions with incomplete information, of leading through profound uncertainty, that remains exactly the same. Which really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. When you're facing a crisis with no easy answers, no clear villain, and no perfect solution, how do you even define what's right and what's wrong? What does it truly demand of a leader in that moment?